Hey everybody, this is George Brasher with Shakedown of Thunder Sports, and you're about to watch the two Irish brothers. Go Irish!
How's it going, everyone? I am ND Sean 45.
I am Irish Benjamin 57.
And together we make up the two Irish brothers. And let me just say first, damn, it feels good to be back.
Yep.
It has been too long. I think like about a month since our last video, maybe a little bit longer. But Ben, how have you been doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Life's good. Getting closer and closer to Notre Dame season and getting closer and closer to another season that we will be talking about shortly.
Oh, yeah. People can tell what's in the title. They know what's coming.
I'm getting pretty darn excited.
Oh, yes. The spring game will be here before you know it. We'll get to see some of the new guys in action. And but first things first, if you guys love our content, despite us being off for a little while, hit that like and subscribe button. That way you always get notifications when a new Two Irish Brothers video comes out. And also want to try to start doing this every video. Always a big shout out to Vince Sebastiano in the Facebook group, Love the Notre Dame. The guy and the rest of the admins over there, they've given us a platform. They've treated us very well, and hopefully Vince can be on the show sometime once our schedules align with one another. But Vince, if you're watching, thank you as always for giving us that platform and, people to become a part of our viewership and our viewer base. So with that said, let's get right into some news. Now, yes, we are a little bit late to the party, Ben, but
behind the times.
But listen, despite us not being on here, we're keeping up with the news. And well, for starters, Notre Dame finished out their 2022 recruiting class number 7, I believe. Which is pretty good.
Top 10. Can't complain too much about that.
Well, of course, I'd like to be number 1, but am I really going to complain about a top 10 finish?
No.
No. A lot of tough competition in college football, as we all know. And it's insane, seeing all these guys ahead of us, especially Texas A&M. I think they got like 5 or 6 5-star players.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it scares me a little bit because they're coming to South Bend, and then we go to College Station here in a few years. So we're going to be hitting the prime of that class, but they're going to be hitting the prime of ours as well. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when that time comes. So yeah, we finish at number 7 in the recruiting rankings. Nothing to scoff at. Looking at that list of guys, we had a lot of recruits that can really help us out, and some that I think could step in and see some early playing time, especially with what we lost to the NFL draft and to graduation.
Yeah, it's getting exciting in Notre Dame country. I mean, it's one of those that, I know we've kind of been, I don't know the right word, spoiled in a way. I mean, Notre Dame has been very much in the thick of things for the last decade, to say the least. But this culture that Freeman is starting to build just in these few short months that we've had him, it's getting exciting. It's getting more exciting than the Brian Kelly era, which is crazy to say.
Yeah. I mean, really, and Brian Kelly did a pretty good job for us. Don't get me wrong. I mean, yeah, a lot of the people in the fan base don't like him. They're probably still angry at him with what happened. I mean, yeah, that's kind of hard to forget too, but I'm not going to just discredit everything he done just because things happened the way that they did. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the Brian Kelly era, really, he provided a lot of good things for us, but Marcus Freeman, like you just said, he's doing that same thing, but kicking it up a notch, which I really love to see. But one thing in this class that I'm really excited about too, and we really need this, is receiving help. Help for the receiving game, because we lost guys like Kevin Austin, but I think I do believe Avery Davis is coming back, Braden Lindsey's coming back, And then after that, you're going to have a lot of young guys stepping in there, guys like Lorenzo Stiles and Dion Colsey. And so we're going to be pretty young in the receiving game next year, but there's a lot of talent there too.
Yeah, there is. And I'm hoping that it is a situation where it's like an Alabama situation where we got young guys, but we go above and beyond our expectations, and we take care of business. And, if everything goes right, Notre Dame could be talking playoffs next year.
Well, and we're definitely going to be tested that first game of the year against Ohio State. I mean, that's definitely a very strong potential for a make or break season type of game. And so you're going to need to be ready for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And,
And I think it's going to be, not wanting to say too much about that game since, we do previews and recaps and all that.
Right.
I think the intensity of that room is going to be very, very interesting with Freeman's ties to Ohio State and some of the other guys that he has on staff currently that have the ties that they have to Ohio State. This is definitely going to be a game that is like almost like a bragging rights game.
Oh yeah.
Freeman gets to write home, if you will, and go, we took care of business against you guys, and all that. So,
well, and also, Ben, you used to live in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
And being a Notre Dame fan in Columbus, I know you've told me some stories. It wasn't exactly an easy time for you.
No. And Columbus is interesting because you got three very big name programs that are represented in that surrounding area, and they are Michigan, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. And it is a very interesting culture there when Notre Dame plays Michigan and Michigan plays Ohio State and Ohio State plays Notre Dame. It's nuts. It's crazy, and it's fun. It's actually a lot of fun. So,
well, and let's just face it. Ohio State, they have bragging rights over us. They've beaten us a couple of times, and when we've seen them these past 15 years or so, they beat us in 2 Fiesta Bowls, and I think they've won a couple of national championships if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They've
won. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Well, all I'm saying, the point that I'm making
is they've won 2 and they've played in 4, I want to say, in the last 15 years.
Yeah, without looking it up, I'd have to say that sounds about right.
Well, because they played Miami in the BCS era and won, and then they played Florida and LSU in the BCS era and lost. And then they played Alabama in the first year that the CFP ever started, and they won the national title that year.
So, yeah. So now, of course, I know someone will come in the comments and help us out because that's usually the case.
So I think it's 4 or 5. I don't know. Something like that.
So the bottom line.
But when you're, and they've done that, and we haven't done anything since '89 in that regard. And, they've had their losses, to Oregon this past year, and then a few years, ago to Oklahoma and all that. They've had their losses, but they've also had their wins.
And that's something that we can't really claim as far as the postseason goes, unfortunately. But that's the bottom line that I'm getting at is they have the bragging rights over us, and this will be another chance for us to win a heavyweight matchup. And Oklahoma State's in the past, but that was our best chance in recent history to get one done in the postseason. But it's all about moving forward. And all I know is I say this all the time. You can't read a lot into the spring game, but at the same time, you can get an idea of what you have. Because, the younger guys that have already been there, they've improved. Gives you a chance to break in the incoming freshmen. So we'll get a pretty decent idea of what we have come the blue and gold game.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be, like you said, it'll be cool. It'll be fun to see.
Now, moving on to some other Notre Dame football news. and again, late to the party on this one, but Marcus Freeman rounded out his coaching staff with defensive coordinator Al Golden coming in to take over his former role for Notre Dame.
Yep.
Now, I myself personally, I like this hire because you look at Al Golden's coaching history. Obviously we know that he's been the head coach at Miami and at Temple, but the rest of his stops, he has had a lot of deep. He's had a lot of success, but I was going to say before that, a lot of his stops have been on the defensive side of the ball. I'm looking right here. He's been the defensive coordinator at where is it here down the line? He's been the defensive coordinator at Virginia, and then he has had four of his stops have been as linebackers coach. Yeah. And one of those stops, with the Cincinnati Bengals, who are coming off the Super Bowl loss to the LA Rams. But Al Golden's held that spot for looks like the last 3 or 4 years. 2 years with Cincinnati. I was looking at a different spot here. I was looking at when he was the defensive coordinator of Virginia. He was DC at Virginia for 4 years. That's the one that I was looking at. But no, he's been the linebackers coach at with the Cincinnati Bengals, the Detroit Lions, Penn State back in 2000, Boston College for a couple years in 97, or started in 97 going through 99. So the bottom line is he has a strong defensive background, and I like this addition. And he did have some all right success as a head coach. But it's like we said, though. I mean, some guys, they are just better coordinators than they are head coaches. But all I know is he has the experience with defense, and I like it. I'm willing to give him a shot as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's a lot of people in the fan base that have become extremely skeptical of every situation that comes Notre Dame's way, and I mean, is there a little bit of justification in it? Yes and no. But Freeman seems, going back to what I was saying earlier, Freeman seems to be building this incredible culture that really focuses on doing the little things right and having everybody's back and being one big family.
He's the definition of unity. And after what happened with Brian Kelly when he leaves before, the final selection show of the season, and just up and leaves for LSU, which I did not see coming, you really need to bring that unity after something like that happens.
Yeah.
And, because when a coach leaves like that, that can tear a team apart. But Marcus Freeman stepped in. He kept the team together. He kept the majority of the recruits in the recruiting class, and that was huge for us, more than what people think.
Oh yeah.
But as far as some of his other assistant hires, one that I cannot believe that people, when he hired Chancey Stuckey as receivers coach, the receivers coach from Baylor. I mean, people were from our fan base were jumping on that like it was the worst thing ever. I'm like, look at the guy's body of work. In 1 year, he turned around, and we talked about this in the last video that we did. He turned around a lot of those Baylor wide receivers, and they had great seasons, great performances. So you got to give the guy a chance before a game is even played. You can't judge a guy before a game's even played. That's not the mentality you have to have. You got to ditch that mentality, because these guys could actually be pretty good at what they do. So what more can I say?
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, it's got to be a wait and see approach. It has to be. I mean, and not only a wait and see approach, but a benefit of doubt, approach. Because I'm sorry, not everything happens immediately. There's going to be growing pains with this team. I will tell everybody that watches our show right now, there will be growing pains with this team this coming season. There will be times where you're like, okay, we've seen this before. This is like Brian Kelly all over again. It's how it goes. When you usher in a new era and a new coaching philosophy, there's going to be growing pains.
And I will just say this. I'll say this. I mean, obviously everybody knows me in particular. I'm never going to pick us to lose a game. Do I honestly think we could make another run at the playoffs next year? Absolutely. And I know most people are hearing that and saying, Sean's being a homer. Sean's being a homer. No, I really do think that. But if we stumble at some point next season, will I be surprised? No.
Yep.
So that's the best way I can describe that. But I think we have a good thing going, a good thing that Marcus Freeman is putting together here, and just time will tell on what happens.
Yep.
So moving on, real quick before we get to the quote unquote creme de la creme of this video, a couple shout outs to some other sports at Notre Dame. Notre Dame hockey is killing it right now. They just swept Michigan in a 2-game series. Currently, I think Notre Dame was number 9. Michigan was, I think, number 4. So that a huge series win for Notre Dame hockey. Notre Dame basketball. Holy cow, the slow start they had. They just secured a double bye in the ACC tournament, 1 game behind Duke for the ACC regular season championship. And this is a team that got off to a really tough start. Had a not so good Maui Invitational. I think that was a tournament they played in. I think, and then you lose to Boston College early in conference play, but then this team has just really turned things around. They've been a very scrappy team. Most of their games have been close, but it's like, again, it goes back to not how you start, how you finish. But no, Mike Bray has this Notre Dame team to 21 wins, and just an impressive job. And he's only going like 7 deep on his roster, which is insane. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah. So anyway, Ben, let's get to talking about something interesting that we've done in the past with the XFL. The USFL is coming back on April 16th.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but I picked the Houston Gamblers as my favorite team, mainly because when the first round of the USFL was here back in the early 80s, I like the Gamblers because that's the team that Jim Kelly spurned the Buffalo Bills for. And he played there for the first 3 years of his professional career.
Yep. Yeah. No, we're going to be doing it the same way we did it with the XFL. I'm going to roll with the exact same team. We're both rolling with the Gamblers. And it's going to be exciting. I hope, really, really hope that this league stays as a league. I want to see more leagues like this. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And, Houston seems to have built a pretty good team. I mean, the guys on this roster look like they could really get it done. And, we saw that with Houston in the XFL. I mean, Houston in the XFL was one of the best teams. So,
yeah, Houston Roughnecks.
They, hopefully the Gamblers kind of pick up that slack where they left off at when that season closed during COVID. So, it's exciting.
And that's the thing too. You kind of beat me to the punch there. When we were covering the XFL back in 2020 when it was going on, Vince McMahon got it right the second time around. They didn't try to compete with the NFL like they did back in, when the first version was founded in 2000, went to 2001, only lasted 1 season. I mean, that was an absolute disaster. The second time around here, he didn't try to compete with the NFL. They put together some new rules on the field, like the kickoff rule, the double forward pass, the going for 3 points on the attempt after touchdown. And people were actually getting into it. I mean, people were watching that league. So many people out there think it was a failure just because it wasn't good. No, the only reason the XFL ended was because, like you said, COVID hit and shut down operations. but they weren't the only ones that suffered because of COVID.
Yeah.
And plus that the XFL is coming back next spring in 2023. Vince McMahon sold it to The Rock, Dwayne Johnson and his ex-wife. So they're going to be running things now. So we could potentially have 2 spring leagues next year. Now, the XFL this time around, it's the same kind of thing. When it came out in the early 80s, they tried to compete with the NFL, and they had a little success doing that because they were poaching guys like Jim Kelly and Herschel Walker from the NFL draft. They only lasted 3 seasons, but that's what did them in. You can't compete with the NFL. And it's the same thing today. They're not trying to compete with the NFL. They're doing their own thing. And what I think is really smart this time around, unlike the Alliance League, the Alliance of American Football, I'm not exactly sure step by step how it works, but I think the USFL is contracted by Fox Network. So you're not going to have to worry about them running out of money or having any financial issues or anything like that. And the way it's going to work this first season is all 8 teams, they're going to play all their games strictly in Birmingham, Alabama, because they have the UAB stadium down there, and then another stadium as well. I forget which one. So they're going to play all the games down there for this first season. The playoffs, I think that all those games are going to be played up in Canton, where the Hall of Fame is. And it sounds like the plan is this first season, all 8 teams play in Birmingham. Next year, you get half the teams to their respected cities. Then the year after that, all of the teams in their respected cities. So the bottom line is they have a good plan put in place here to succeed. And so I think this league will stick around for a little while. I know the XFL, they're looking to pretty much be like a spring development league for the NFL.
Yep.
And I knew that at one point they were talking about doing a collab with the Canadian Football League, but I don't think that's the case anymore. But all I know is it is possible for spring football to exist. And of course, there was one guy that I saw that I actually called out on our Twitter page that said, "This is just terrible. This is awful. I just watched this draft. It's terrible." Well, what are some of these people expecting, that they were going to see NFL free agents?
Right.
I mean, no.
Yep.
You're not going to see an Odell Beckham Jr. go into this free agent pool. I'm sorry.
Well, you're
But
definitely
yes,
not going to see an Odell after that knee injury.
yeah. Who knows what's going to happen with him after that? But look, I'll be straight up honest with you. Aside from the quarterbacks, I don't know a lot of these guys. I mean,
Right.
the only thing I've seen with them is where they went to college, but you do have a lot of guys from the FBS level in this league, and they may not exactly be big name guys, but these are guys that are hungry. And for a lot of these guys, it's a second chance. And anybody who's seen the movie The Replacements, even though that was a comedy, the concept is good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and look at, in recent years, with my pro football team that I root for, the Dolphins, Cameron Wake went to the Canadian Football League, played there for a while, then went to the NFL, became an all-star. I mean, some guys, like you said, it's a second chance, and they need just that one more chance of publicity, where an NFL scout sees them or whatever, and then they go, maybe we did mess up passing on that guy, or that guy was injured and we passed up on him because we just don't think that he can make it, and he's really turned it around, and maybe it wouldn't be half a bad idea to give this guy a tryout.
Well, and even if these guys don't get a second chance at the NFL, they're still getting a second chance to play professional football again, even if it's at a lower level.
Right.
It keeps their career going for a little while. And
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, these guys are going to give you the absolute best they have because they want to impress.
Well, and football, American football, let's say it that way. American football is the only sport out of all like these big name sports, soccer, basketball, baseball, hockey, that doesn't have lower levels. I mean, you have like 3 or 4 levels in baseball, you have 3 or 4 levels in hockey, you have 3 or 4 levels, and I mean, and it's not bad.
Even in the NBA has the D League.
I mean, yeah. So it's like, what's the problem? Like, I don't understand why people don't want things like that to happen. I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around people not wanting to see these leagues do well.
Well, and even before it even hits the field, I mean, why can't you at least give it a chance? Then, okay, if it hits the field and you don't like it, okay, fine. Then it's crap to you. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but it's just like, you can't have, but this one person that I called out on our Twitter page, and I guess I could post the comment if I wanted to, but I'm not going to waste that much time. But it's just, I think your expectations are a little too high. I mean, you're not gonna poach any guys from the NFL free agency pool or NFL rosters. You're not.
Yeah, like I would say the only way you could, and to me, it'd be very far-fetched, would be like if a guy was extremely mad at the league and wanted something else. But even then, most of the guys that are like mad at the league want
Antonio Brown,
right? But I mean, like, and those guys, like a lot of those guys want a bunch of money. So I don't think the USL would be for that, or even the XFL, because they wouldn't be getting paid what they'd be getting paid.
No, both these.
So
the XFL is all guys get $250,000 contracts on 3-year deals, and I think from what I saw here in the USFL, it's the same kind of concept. I mean, guys are only going to be making like $50,000 a season, something like that. And it's it's only like the guys who are on there's a 7-member practice squad. I think those guys only get like a couple thousand a week, something like that. So no player from the NFL is going to want to come down to this league. But if that did happen, then it would shake things up, definitely. But the bottom line is, this is a lower level of professional football. You can't have your expectations set that high, but you can have your expectations set high, and these guys giving you the absolute best that they can. I mean, it's still something to enjoy. Just because it's not the NFL doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. And the main thing is it's crap to write the league off before it even hits the field.
Yeah. Yeah. So here are the numbers for player compensation. So mini camp / training camp, $600 a week. Regular season for active roster players, $4,500 per week. And then for a grand total of $45,000 for the regular season, 10 games. And then for a non-rostered active roster athlete, it would be $1,500 a week.
Okay.
And then a win bonus, you get $850 per win for players on the active or practice squad on game day. And then $10,000 to each player that is on the active roster for championship game. The maximum possible salary would be $75,750 for an active player throughout the entire season. That is counting camp weeks if undefeated through the championship game.
Okay, so it's almost kind of the same as the XFL pay-wise, but not every player is guaranteed to get that much.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, that's a lower level of pro football, but still though, I think these guys will be hungry and they'll give you the best they can. So to write them off before it even starts is crap. So let's review a little bit about who's involved in this league. So here's the 8 head coaches. You're going to have Jeff Fisher coaching the Michigan Panthers. We all know Jeff Fisher very well. Larry Fedora coaching the New Orleans Breakers, and then some more big names here. Skip Holtz coaching the Birmingham Stallions. Kirby Wilson for the Pittsburgh Maulers. Mike Riley for the New Jersey Generals, Todd Haley for the Tampa Bay Bandits, Kevin Sumlin coaching our boys, the Houston Gamblers, and Bart Andrus coaching the Philadelphia Stars. So there's some big name coaches here that have had some success at both the pro and collegiate level. Kevin Sumlin, he had a lot of success at Texas A&M. His last college stop was at Arizona. Didn't do so hot there, but
well, it also didn't help that Arizona State had just gotten Herm Edwards, so I mean, that kind of hurt in-state recruiting, for someone. But
Sumlin's had some success. He knows what he's doing. I like him as our head coach at Houston. But also let's talk about some of the players here in this league. So our quarterback at Houston is going to be Clayton Thorson, who was the quarterback at Northwestern, spent some time in the NFL with the Eagles. And then our guy from the St. Louis Battlehawks of the XFL, Jordan Teamu, he was taken second overall by the was it the Bandits?
Yep, Tampa Bay Bandits.
So you have him. And then you have Shay Patterson, former Michigan quarterback, taken number 1 overall by the I think it was the Maulers who had the number 1 pick.
Nope, it was Michigan Panthers.
Michigan Panthers, okay.
Yep, he's staying in Michigan.
But then some other names. Let's see if I can find the roster here. Oh, where is it? Okay, here it is. Yeah, you had Shay Patterson to the Panthers, Jordan Teamu to the Bandits, Brian Scott to the Philadelphia Stars, Ben Holmes to the New Jersey Generals, Clayton Thorson to us at Houston, Alex McGough to the Birmingham Stallions, Kyle Leoletta to the who was that? I think it was to the Breakers. Oh shoot. I'm going off of I'm going off of logos here. But anyway, then Kyle Slaughter went to number 8. Yeah, no, it was Kyle Leoletta to the Breakers, and then Kyle Slaughter to the it doesn't matter. But those are the 8 quarterbacks that were taken. And then after that, you see a lot of guys who, like I said, aren't exactly big name guys. You had a lot of FCS guys in there, but you had plenty of guys who did see some time at some big name FBS programs.
Yep.
So
yeah, I mean, it should be a fun league. It really should. And like you said, people got to give this a chance, and people have to realize this is not the NFL. This is a lower level of football, but it can still be just as fun.
What'd you think about all the people? Because I know you were following the draft too. What do you think about all the people that were hoping you saw Manziel get picked by someone or get put in the player pool?
I don't know. I think Manziel fell into a very unique and good situation with A&M, and I haven't seen, in my opinion, I have not seen the same Manziel that was at A&M in the NFL and then in the CFL. So I don't know.
Well, the only time we're going to see the same Manziel is when he's at the casinos and stuff, partying it up. Doesn't matter the casino, it's the same Manziel. One interesting thing, too, is I saw that Paxton Lynch is now in the USFL. He is a backup. I forget who, but he was a former first-round pick, wasn't he?
I do. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I mean, but there's some guys that I don't know. Some stuff just happens and the cards fall wrong, and I don't know.
well, all I know is that what it comes down to is we're gonna have to wait till we see these teams on the field to really get to know a lot of these guys. I mean, yeah, I can go and do research on every single one of these guys, but it's hard to fit into a video when you're talking about a bunch of different things. But all I know is looking at some of these guys and their size and their strength for these different positions, I'm going to give them a chance. Like I said, this is a second chance for a lot of players that are trying to make it somewhere with their careers, and they're deserving of a chance. And all I know is draft night, despite even though there was some negativity, there's a lot of love being given to this league by a lot of football fans, and it should be a lot of fun. But also, you mentioned other sports leagues earlier. One thing that is going to be key for this league, and even though it sucks that it's happening, baseball not being played right away because of the players, the new player strike going on, the collective bargaining falling through. People are going to want something to watch. I mean, granted, yeah, you'll have the NCAA basketball tournament, you'll have March Madness, but people are going to want some more sports to watch.
Yeah.
And with baseball being on hiatus for a bit, who knows how long that'll be.
Yeah, I hold out a slight glimmer of hope with baseball because they have until midnight on Monday to get a deal done. So,
and it sounds like they're very far apart. So,
yeah,
we're going to see if it comes back, we're going to see a shortened season. Because even if they don't reach a deal, that doesn't mean they still couldn't later on down the road this year.
Right.
Is that correct? I'm not exactly sure how it works.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I was very much by the mindset that those owners were not going to let this go as long as it's gone because of the hit they took during COVID and stuff in the MLB, and they have. So I don't get it, but that's just me. I really don't. I don't get it. So,
well, I know is there's going to be. Well, all I'm saying is there's going to be stuff to watch. New football league, March Madness, and as bad as that is, as much as it sucks because I love baseball. Them being about to be on strike, I think that's going to help this league once it gets going because people are going to want something to watch. So, but yeah, I think we got a good. We did well for coming back after a month hiatus, and just to let everybody know. And I talked to Ben before we got started doing this video. We're going to try to, first off, we're going to try really hard to get back to doing videos on a weekly basis.
Nope, we will. We're not going to try.
All right.
Videos on a weekly basis.
I misspoke. I'm sorry. But just to let you guys know, you could very well see a lot more of our buddy George Bashura because Ben and I, we've said numerous times, we work different work schedules. So if there's news during the week, I'm going to talk to him. He might see this video and you see it before I talk to him.
Right. But, what's going to be up for here?
I'm going to see if he wants to do videos during the week, since Ben has to work nights during the week. Yeah. So you could very well see me and George during the week for videos of any news that breaks or something like that. So just giving you guys a heads up on that. And Ben, I'm out of things to talk about for this video.
I got nothing right now, but man, Notre Dame basketball. Oh, we didn't mention it. I'm going to mention it real quick. Notre Dame fencing for the women has once again won a championship. Fencing has just been on a roll the last few years and pumping out Olympic athletes left, right, and center. So major shout out to Notre Dame fencing. But yeah,
it's not a sport of my interest, but yeah, my hat's off to them because those are still athletes that work really hard.
So yeah, no, it's really fun right now. We basketball is definitely turned a corner, if you will. I don't think a lot of us thought that this basketball team would be as good as they've been this year.
Both the men and women's have been kicking some ass.
So I think the tournament's getting ready to start for the ACC. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be, could be one of those magical years again, like we saw. You never
say never.
Yeah, and Mike Bray's been there. He has that experience, knocking off Duke and then knocking off North Carolina to win that ACC tournament. So, it's getting exciting. I hope to God it happens again. I really
Yes.
do. It's one of my favorite Notre Dame memories that's not a football memory is going back to back against North Carolina and Duke in North Carolina,
Back
behind
on
enemy
Tobacco
lines.
Road.
Like, that was just absolutely incredible. That was an incredible run. I will never forget that as long as I live.
I was watching that championship game with my buddies at B-Dubs up in Wisconsin when that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hope it happens. I really do. And Notre Dame, they're only one, like we said earlier, one game behind Duke in conference standings and stuff, and I think the Notre Dame team that's now playing on the court is a way different team that was playing on the court at the beginning of the season, so
I agree.
sure, they've really figured their stuff out. I think if they were to play a couple of the teams they lost to early on in the season, I think they would really give them a run for their money.
I agree.
And that's not me saying that as a fan. That's me saying it as a basketball person that watches other teams. I really do think that, if I didn't have any rooting interest in Notre Dame, if you put them against those teams, they would have given them a really hard time, if not beat them. So
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah,
they've improved greatly. So yeah, I guess you I'm sorry, you said you had nothing else or you had something else. All right. Well, everyone, it's great to be back and get ready to see a lot more of us. And thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed almost 42 minutes. So on that note, everyone, I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And as always, good night, God bless, and go Irish, go Gamblers, all in, baby.
Go Irish, go Gamblers, all in. Roll the dice, drop the cards.